They call you brilliant, perfect, and unique. But why does that overwhelming praise vanish the moment you challenge them? This is the dark, psychological paradox of the ego inflation trap, a calculated lure designed to create dependence. We're going to explore what happens when praise isn't a gift, but a tool, a weapon, used against you.
Okay, let's just sit with this for a second. This quote, it really cuts to the heart of a deeply confusing and frankly painful experience. It's a pattern so many people feel, but just can't quite put a name to. One minute, you are everything to someone. You're put on this incredible pedestal. And the next, for the smallest thing, maybe you disagree or set a boundary, all of that validation is just gone. It leaves you spinning in the state of shock. It's like emotional whiplash, and it's so disorienting because it feels chaotic. But what if it's not chaotic at all?
So that's the real question, isn't it? Why does it disappear? Is this just someone with a bad temper, or is it something way more deliberate? Over the next few minutes, we're going to deconstruct this exact pattern, piece by piece. We're going to pull back the curtain on the mechanics behind the praise, the real strategy for its withdrawal, and, most importantly, we'll build a clear, actionable defense strategy so you can spot this trap and neutralize it for good.
And here's our roadmap for how we'll do it. First, we'll look at the praise paradox itself, that feeling of being idealized one second and devalued the next. Then we'll get into the manipulator's real objective, something called supply capture. After that, we'll break down the three-stage mechanism. It's literally their playbook. We'll explore the psychology of the trap to see why it works so well. And then we pivot to action, building your defenses, and finally, reclaiming your self-worth.
So, let's start with that feeling, the praise paradox. It's that dizzying swing from being the most incredible person I've ever met to suddenly feeling like you're walking on eggshells, terrified of making a single wrong move. The swing feels so personal, so chaotic, and that's on purpose. It's designed to make you question yourself, your own reality. But here's what you need to understand. This is not a random experience. It is a predictable, recognizable pattern. If you've ever felt this, you are not crazy, you're not imagining it, you're just experiencing the opening move in a very old game.
All right, now that we've put a name to the feeling, let's get clinical. Let's look at what's really going on behind the scenes. Because to truly defend yourself, you have to get past the emotional confusion and understand the cold, hard objective. We have to know the why before we can disarm the how. And the why is all about one thing: control. This has nothing to do with love or admiration. It's about acquiring an asset. It's about something called supply capture.
And here's the formal term for it: the ego inflation trap. And listen, every word in that definition is there for a reason. It's systematic. This isn't an accident or a bad mood. It's a deliberate, repeatable process. The tool it uses is excessive praise, which you've probably heard of as love bombing. You know, the praise that feels just a little too good to be true, because it is. But the real goal, the entire point of the exercise, is psychological dependence. The dependency isn't a side effect of a whirlwind romance. It's the engineered outcome. It's the whole point. In fact, this trap is the foundation of the entire narcissistic abuse cycle.
So what is supply capture? Well, think of it like a hostile takeover of your self-esteem. The manipulator's ultimate goal is to become the one and only gatekeeper of your self-worth. They want to be the single source of you feeling good about yourself. By flooding you with all that praise at the beginning, they sneak past your normal defenses. It's like a Trojan horse filled with compliments. And once they become your main source for validation, you become completely reliant on them. At that point, they've successfully captured you as a source of what's known as narcissistic supply, their personal fuel of attention, admiration, and control.
And now we get to the absolute core of it, the mechanism itself. This isn't some kind of dark magic or random chaos. It's a predictable three-stage process. And understanding these stages is the key to everything because it shows you the blueprint behind the behavior. Once you know the playbook, you can't be tricked by the game. So let's break it down.
The whole process unfolds in three distinct acts. First, you have over-validation. This is that initial intoxicating ego boost that gets you hooked. Then comes dependency creation, where that boost becomes an anchor, chaining your self-worth directly to them. And finally, the trap springs, with withdrawal and coercion. This is where the praise is taken away for the sole purpose of controlling you. So remember it, the boost, the anchor, and the control. Let's look at each one up close. Stage 1 is pure euphoria. The manipulator just showers you with flattery, idealization. They tell you everything you've ever secretly wanted to hear about yourself. They use this powerful technique called emotional mirroring, where they basically study you, learn your hopes, your dreams, your insecurities, and then reflect back this perfect, almost mythical version of you. If you value your humor, you're the funniest person they've ever met. If you pride yourself on compassion, you're practically a saint. It feels incredible, right? Like you finally met someone who just gets you. But what's really happening is that you're being conditioned to accept this new, inflated identity that they've created for you.
And this is the crucial turning point. In stage 2, your sense of who you are starts to merge with their opinion of you. Your self-worth gets anchored to their validation. This creates something psychologists call an external locus of control. See, most of us try to operate with an internal locus of control. Our value comes from inside, from our own principles. But in this trap, your sense of worth gets moved outside of you and placed entirely in their hands. You are quite literally outsourcing your self-esteem. They are no longer just some person in your life. They've become the source code for how you feel about yourself.
And then the floor drops out. Once your self-worth is firmly in their control, they start stage 3, withdrawal. The praise stops, the idealization vanishes. Maybe it's a sudden silent treatment or just little criticisms where there used to be compliments. And because that inflated ego was a bubble that they blew, when they pop it, it causes a complete psychological collapse. It is just like drug withdrawal. You feel this panic, this desperation. You scramble, trying to figure out what you did wrong, and you become willing to do almost anything to get that good feeling back. That desperation, that is compliance, and that's the moment they get total control.
So, we've seen the how, that 3-stage playbook, but to really get it, we need to look at the why. Why is this trap so devastatingly effective? To answer that, we have to look at the psychology of both the person setting the trap and the person walking into it. It's a toxic lock-and-key dynamic that just fits together perfectly.
And this really shows the two sides of that coin. On one side, you've got the manipulator's motivation, ultimate control. You see, a real complex person is unpredictable, but an inflated ego, one that they built, that's super predictable. It needs constant feeding. This makes the target a reliable source of supply. Then on the other side, you have the target's vulnerability, that very human need for validation that gets hijacked. For the target, the fear of losing that perfect, idealized self-image they were given becomes the main driver. It creates this frantic chase to get the approval back, not out of love, but out of a deep, primal fear of that internal collapse.
And that desperate chase, it actually has a name: compulsive pursuit. This isn't just you wanting to make things right. No, it's a powerful, conditioned response, almost like one of Pavlov's dogs. The praise was the bell, the good feeling was the reward. When the bell stops ringing, a deep psychological panic sets in. This compulsive need to get their approval back at any cost is the very engine that powers the whole system of control. And recognizing that drive for what it is, a conditioned response, not a sign of your own failure, is the first critical step to getting free.
Okay, we have analyzed this trap from every angle. We know the what, the why, and the how. So now we shift from analysis to action. This part is all about empowerment. It's about going from being a target to being a fortress. We are going to build the psychological defenses that can make you immune to this kind of manipulation. Let's open up the toolkit.
Here are 3 incredibly powerful practical strategies. First, the proportionality audit. This is your own personal BS detector. When you get all this intense praise, just ask yourself, is this praise proportional to the time we've actually known each other? If someone you met 2 weeks ago is calling you their soulmate, that's a huge red flag. That's the lure. Second, and this is the big one, is the lifelong project of internalizing your locus of control. The goal here is simple: to become unhijackable. We'll get into that next. And third, pace the rapport. Love bombing needs speed to work. By you intentionally slowing things down, you give yourself space to think clearly and you deny them their primary weapon.
So how do you actually do this? How do you internalize your control? Well, first, you start anchoring your self-worth to your actions, not to someone else's words. Compliments are nice, but your value comes from what you do. Second, you base that value on your own internal code of ethics. Your integrity, your resilience, your kindness, that's your true north. Third, you use verifiable metrics that only you can measure. Not, am I being praised today, but did I act with integrity today? Did I try my best? These are questions only you can answer. And really, it all comes down to one conscious choice: you have to refuse to ever outsource your self-esteem again.
We've gone from the confusing paradox all the way to the actionable defenses. So now we're at the final stage: reclaiming your self-worth. This is where we put it all together into one clear, empowering takeaway. So let's bring this all home. The ego inflation trap is not a compliment that went sideways. It is the calculated lure. It's how manipulators boost your ego just to control you later. The praise was never the gift. It was the setup. It was always the setup. And remember the pattern, because it's always the same. First, over-validation creates dependency. Second, your self-worth gets linked to the abuser. And third, that praise is withdrawn for control.
But here's the good news. Here's the most important part. Awareness breaks the loop. The moment you see the pattern, it starts to lose its power over you. Using tools like the Proportionality Audit and doing the hard work of internalizing your locus of control, that's how you assert your power. That's how you say your worth is not up for negotiation.
Because in the end, the ultimate defense, the final truth, is this. True self-worth is a solid foundation that you build yourself. It's based on your actions, your values, your character. And a foundation like that, it simply cannot be hijacked.